In this introduction to housing selection for the residence halls, I'll cover important dates and deadlines, the residence hall selection phases, and the 3 steps you need to take to be able to select a room. If you want more information on the Biola housing selection steps, we recommend you visit the housing website at biola.edu/housing and click on the housing selection link. The housing selection website has helpful information like links to our exception forms and the floor plans of Alpha, Blackstone, Hart, Hope, Horton, Sigma, Stewart, and Thompson halls. These are the residence halls that are included in this process. To participate in Biola housing selection, you have to complete steps 1 through 4 by the deadlines. These housing selection video guides are step 1. The other steps all take place in My Housing Self-Service. The login to My Housing Self-Service is located on the housing website. Step 2 is to complete the housing application. Be aware that the application deadline for the Biola apartments is earlier. Step 3 has you match together with your future roommates so you can eventually select a room for each other. And step 4 is to select a room at your selection time during a room selection phase. Selection times will be distributed at noon the day before your selection phase occurs. To live in Biola housing, you must be an undergraduate student who is not yet married and intends to be enrolled at Biola. Priority to select a room goes to students who complete steps 2 and 3 and are older than 20 years old by the first day of fall classes. If you will be a full-time student and will be younger than 20 years old by the first day of fall classes, you are required to live in a Biola residence hall or to live at home with a parent or guardian. If this is the case and you plan to commute from your parent or guardian's home, make sure you complete the requested commute form on the housing selection website so our office knows that this is your plan. Again, this is only if you will be 19 years or younger by the first day of classes and will be commuting from home next year. If your 20th birthday is near the deadline and you'll have enough credits to be a junior or senior, you can request an exception to the residence requirement. You'll need to complete the requested commute form on the housing website, complete the housing application just in case your exception request doesn't get approved. You'll need to meet with financial aid to find out how moving off campus may impact your aid, and then have your parent or guardian email us that they know you're asking to live in non-Biola housing. The deadline to complete these steps is Wednesday, March 20th. There are 3 room selection phases: same hall, any hall, and individual bed. Same hall selection is for current residents that want to renew living in their same hall. If you applied and roommate matched, we will automatically include you in this process. Same hall selection for men begins at noon on Thursday, March 28th. Same hall selection for women is on Friday, March 29th, also at noon. Again, you'll only get a selection time if you live in one of the residence halls right now. Off-campus residents won't get a selection time, but if your roommate matched with someone who currently lives in a residence hall, your roommate can select a room for you both. Any hall selection is for students that want to live somewhere different next year. You can select from any rooms that are available after the same hall selection. Any hall selection is for both men and women, and it begins at noon on Monday, April 1st. If you and your roommate applied for housing and have not yet selected a room or apartment, then we'll automatically include you in this process. During same hall selection and any hall selection, the first selection times go to students who will be 20 years and older by the first day of fall classes, and then students 19 and younger can select a room after that. Individual bed selection begins at noon on Tuesday, April 2nd. If you don't have a roommate or if you forgot to apply for housing by the deadline, you can select a bed in any of the available rooms during this phase. If you told us on the application that you'd like to live in a designated single room, we'll allow you the option to pick that room between 10 a.m. and noon on April 2nd. The housing contract goes into effect once you or your roommates select a room, which means you're agreeing to live here for both semesters. Also, the housing cancellation fees apply if you cancel after you or your roommate selects a room, so don't use this as a backup plan. If your roommate cancels housing, fortunately, you do not have to pay for their portion of the rent, like you would if you were living off campus. But this does mean that our office can assign another student to move in any time during the school year, so just be prepared for that. We think it's important to think ahead about your options to determine a couple of places you guys might want to live. Each building is different, including bathroom types, room sizes, community types, pricing, floor dynamics, and the location on campus. There are a few different room types available that have different price points, including traditional double rooms, Blackstone economy doubles that are about 150 square feet, which is probably a little larger than your bedroom at home. There are also large permanent triple rooms in Hope and Horton, and designated single rooms in Blackstone and Sigma. For information on each specific residence hall, please visit biola.edu/housing and select halls and apartments to take a self-guided tour of any hall you'd like to see. This preparation will help you so you don't waste time trying to figure out where you want to live when it's your time to select a room. To recap, you and your roommate need to complete the online housing application by the deadline, then roommate match together before the room selection processes begin. If you try to roommate match together before the application, you won't be able to find your roommate. If you do have a roommate and currently live in Alpha, Blackstone, Hart, Hope, Horton, Sigma, Stewart, or Thompson Hall right now, you will get a room selection time for same hall selection. After same hall selection is over, if you want to try living in a different hall, or if you are currently a commuter or apartment resident, you will get a room selection time for any hall. After any hall selection, if you don't have a roommate, or if you want to live in a designated single room, you'll select a room during individual bed selection. Once you select a room, you can't change your mind, so make sure you choose wisely as you go through this process. Now that you've watched this video guide about the residence hall selection process, check out the other brief housing selection videos for more details about each step.